Kaelen, I should have anticipated this. Even with my meticulous defenses, the moment I lowered my guard just a sliver, the world has a way of noticing. As I exit Faye's apartment, every step is deliberate, a ghost in the night, retracing the route I've memorized like a predator stalking prey. And there it is, the black SUV lurking 2 streets away. Engine silent, windows opaque, motionless, waiting. Panic isn't on my agenda, not yet. I understand the game all too well. They're not here to end me, not tonight. They're observing, analyzing, calculating. I tighten my grip on the steering wheel, plotting escape routes like a chess master anticipating a checkmate. A chilling pulse courses through me. If she becomes aware, she becomes a pawn in this game. She must remain oblivious. A text vibrates against my thigh. No name, no context, just a solitary emoji. I remain silent. That message speaks volumes. They're closer than I dared to imagine. Watching, waiting. And now Faye isn't merely collateral. She's the key to my ascendancy. Kaelen, the night stretches endlessly, a black abyss swallowing every thought. I sit cloaked in darkness, jacket still draped over my shoulders, arms resting on my knees, replaying the week's events like a sickening film on loop. Each location, each moment where I let my defenses slip, every time I dared to believe I could juggle desire and restraint. I was a fool. Desire is a luxury I cannot afford, especially when it comes to her. The world has a way of collecting its debts, and I won't let her pay for my reckless cravings. There's only one way to sever this before it taints her. Not by fleeing, not by hiding, but by excising the root of the problem. For that, I need a force greater than myself, someone who looms larger than the mafia. This meeting fills me with dread, and the last thing I want is to see that man. But Faye's safety is paramount. 3 days later, I'm on a flight that's not listed on any itinerary. I don't breathe a word of my departure to her. I don't disclose my destination. Silence is my ally. If I hear her plead for me to stay, I know I'll crumble. Weakness is not an option. The pecan is no urban legend. Despite the whispers that dance around his name, he is an old power, quiet yet potent, the kind that doesn't need to announce its presence. Everyone is already aware of the shadows he casts. Gaining access to him demands more than just currency. When I finally sit across from him, his gaze weighs heavily upon me as if assessing prey. I've walked this path, and I know it's the only way to ensure she remains untouched. She matters, I declare succinctly, no further explanation needed. That's all he requires. A nod seals our unspoken agreement. Deals like this are not bound by handshakes or words. They thrive on mutual understanding and the inevitability of consequences. The following 2 weeks stretch into an eternity. I remain absent. No calls, no messages, no specters lingering around her, as I've ensured any threat was extinguished before it could even approach her door. Yet each night I envision her pacing, her mind racing, confused, furious, wounded. Good. Let her despise me if it means she lives. Every instinct screams for me to return to verify her safety, to ensure her sister still walks her home, that her friends remain oblivious to the shifting tension. But I resist. Restraint isn't merely the absence of desire. It's about enduring pain now to spare her future suffering. And when I finally permit myself to dwell on her once more, one truth cuts through the haze with brutal clarity. If I re-enter her life now, it will not be as a fleeting temptation. It will be as a permanent fixture. And permanence is far more perilous than any lurking shadow.
He doesn't say goodbye. That's the first thing that breaks me. At first I tell myself it's nothing. People get busy. Phones die. Time slips. I replay our last conversation again and again, searching for the moment I missed. The signal, the crack, the warning that he was about to disappear from my life like smoke. There isn't one. One day he's there, too close, too intense, looking at me like I'm a question he doesn't know how to answer. And the next day, nothing. I text once. Then again. Then I stop, because I refuse to be the girl who chases silence. By the 3rd day, anger sets in. Hot, embarrassing, sharp. How dare he pull me that close only to vanish? How dare he make me feel seen, and then leave me alone with the echo of it? Mara notices first. You're quieter, she says over coffee, watching me the way sisters do when they know something's wrong but don't want to corner it yet. I'm fine, I lie. But I'm not. I jump at shadows. I catch myself scanning crowds like I'm waiting for someone who promised nothing, but still feels overdue. At night, my room feels smaller, suffocating, like the air remembers him even if he's gone. By the end of the first week, confusion replaces anger, because fear doesn't come. Nothing bad happens. No strange looks, no unease, no sense of being watched. The city feels normal, safer even, and that scares me more than danger would. Why now? Why after him? I sit on my bed one night, phone in my hand, staring at his name. I don't call. I don't text. Pride keeps my fingers still, but my chest feels like it's collapsing inward. Did I imagine it? The way he looked at me like restraint was hurting him. The way his voice dropped when he said my name. The tension that felt too real to be one-sided. By day 10, anger comes back, quieter this time, heavier. I start rewriting our story in my head. Maybe I read too much into it. Maybe I was a distraction. Maybe I was something he wanted until it became inconvenient. That thought hurts more than I expect. Because I trusted him. Not with promises. Not with labels. Just with the fragile thing inside me that believed he wouldn't disappear without a reason. By the second week, I stopped checking my phone. That's the part that feels like giving up. I pour myself into routines. Errands with mom. Late-night movies with my sister. Pretending I'm not waiting for a see you soon that never came. I smile when I'm supposed to. I laugh at the right moments. But every quiet second belongs to him. I imagine him walking back into my life like nothing happened. I imagine screaming at him, slapping his chest, telling him he doesn't get to do this to me. I imagine him saying nothing at all. That's the worst version. On the 14th night, I sit by my window and realize something that makes my breath catch. He didn't leave because he didn't care. He left because he cared too much. I don't know how I know. I just do. And that knowledge doesn't soothe me. It terrifies me.
Kaelen. I don't need directions. When the Pakan wants you found, you're found. The message comes through a channel I stopped using years ago. One word. One time, no return address. I don't question it. I don't stall. Men like him don't wait and they don't repeat themselves. The place is quiet in the way power prefers. Not hidden, not guarded, just unquestioned. A restaurant closed for renovations, lights off, door unlocked. Inside, the smell of dust and polish hangs in the air. He isn't the Pakan. That would be too obvious. This man sits comfortably in the center of the room, coat still on like he plans to leave the moment we're done, mid-40s calm, the kind of man who doesn't carry a weapon because he doesn't need to. You were told the Pakan accepted your request, he says. I was. For protection, he continues as if reading from a file. Not for yourself. No. For the girl. My spine tightens. She stays out of it. She does, he agrees easily. Entirely. That word matters. She will not be approached, followed, tested, or frightened, he says. Anyone already circling her has been corrected. Corrected. I don't ask how. And this protection, he adds, does not expire. I finally sit. What's the cost? He studies me like the answer will change something. It won't. Then he reaches into his coat and places a phone on the table between us. Black, old, heavy, no numbers, no branding. Just one etched symbol on the screen. This, he says, is how the Pakan collects. I don't touch it yet. When it rings, he continues, you answer. And do what? He smiles slightly. What you're told. How soon? Unknown. How often? Likely once. Likely. And if I don't answer, I ask. He leans back, relaxed. Then the protection ends, quietly, completely. My jaw tightens. The girl will never be threatened directly, he adds, almost kindly. But absence has consequences. I finally pick up the phone. It's heavier than it should be. Until it rings, I say, I'm free. He nods. You live your life. You disappear if you choose. You love her if you're foolish enough. That lands. And my name, I ask. Known, he says simply. Not spoken, but placed. That's the real price. Anonymity is the only armor that lasts. He stands. The Pakan respects initiative, he says. But understand this, what you asked for required attention. Attention gets people killed. He walks away without another word. I stay seated long after he's gone. Not because I'm afraid, because I'm calculating. The threats are neutralized. That much I believe. The Pakan doesn't do half measures. But now there's a new variable, time, waiting, the phone. I think of Faye, of her laugh, her stubbornness, the way she looks at me like she knows I'm holding something back. If I stay close to her now, I'll crack. I'll tell her everything. And the moment she knows, she becomes involved. And the moment she's involved, this deal changes, so I don't stay. I don't explain. I vanish inside the same city I've survived my whole life. 2 weeks isn't about distance. It's about discipline. It's about letting the dust settle, letting the message spread that I'm unreachable, letting the Pakan's warning sink into the bones of anyone who thought watching her was a good idea. Most of all, it's about keeping her untouched by the truth. The phone stays on me at all times, silent, waiting, and every day it doesn't ring feels like borrowed mercy. Because when it does, I won't hesitate. I don't go to her right away. That's the mistake men like me make when they think surviving something gives them the right to relief. It doesn't. Survival only sharpens the cost of what comes next. I come back quietly. Same city, same streets, different weight in my chest. 2 weeks is long enough for rumors to die and questions to grow roots. Long enough for someone to decide you're gone for good. I let that stand for a day longer than I want to. Pacing my apartment, relearning stillness, reminding myself that wanting her doesn't mean I get to take space in her life like nothing happened. The phone sits on the table, silent. It feels like a countdown I can't see. When I finally leave my place, it's evening. The hour when the city softens and lies feel more believable. I don't text her. I don't call. Showing up unannounced is reckless, but asking permission feels worse. I find her where I expect to. She's outside a cafe, arms folded, laughing at something her sister says. The sound hits me harder than it should. She looks fine, tired maybe, sharper around the edges, but alive, safe. It works. The deal worked. I should feel relief. Instead, I feel exposed. She notices me before I say a word. The smile leaves her face first. Then the laughter. Her body goes still in that way people do, when they're deciding whether to run or confront. I stop a few feet away. Faye. She stares at me like I'm something that came back wrong. Don't, she says quietly. Don't say my name like that. Fair. I didn't know if you were... She stops herself, jaw tightening. Actually, no. I'm not doing this. She turns to walk away. I don't grab her. I don't raise my voice. I let her get 3 steps before I speak. I didn't disappear because I didn't care. That stops her. She turns slowly, eyes bright, not with tears, but with anger that's been waiting for a place to land. Then why, she asks. Because I've been coming up with reasons for 2 weeks. Kaelen, and none of them make you look good. I deserve that too. There are things I can't explain, I say. Not without putting you in the middle of something you don't belong in. She laughs once, sharp and humorless. You already did that. You just didn't give me a say. She's right. That's the worst part. I needed to make sure you were safe, I say carefully. Her eyes narrow. From what? I don't answer. The silence between us stretches. Thick. Dangerous. So that's it, she asks. You vanish, you come back, and I'm just supposed to accept that you had a reason? No, I say. You're supposed to be angry. She blinks at that. I expect you to be, I continue. I expect you to not trust me. I expect you to tell me I don't get to disappear again. And will you? She asks. I hesitate. That's answer enough. Her shoulders sag slightly, like something heavy finally settles. I don't need the details, she says quietly. I just needed to know I wasn't nothing. You were never nothing, I say instantly. Too fast, too real. She looks at me then, really looks. And whatever she sees there changes something. Not forgiveness, not yet, but understanding. Don't do that again, she says. Not as a request, as a boundary. I'll try, I say. She studies me for another long moment, then exhales. Walk me home, she says. Not because everything's fine, because I want to know you're real. I nod. That's more than I deserve. Kaelen. Silence is easier when you choose it, harder when it's chosen for you. Faye hasn't answered a single message since I came back. Not a call. Not a reply. Nothing that suggests she's ready to forgive the space I carved into her life and left unexplained. I don't blame her. Anger means she still feels something. I'd rather have that than indifference. I keep my distance. The city moves on like it always does. Nights pass. Mornings come. The illusion of normalcy almost convinces me that the danger has receded for good. Almost. The phone sits on my kitchen counter. Exactly where I left it, black, silent, patient. I've learned not to look at it too often. Anticipation sharpens fear. Still, some part of me listens for it constantly. like a nerve left exposed. The vibration comes late. Not loud, not urgent, just enough to make my pulse spike like I've been struck. I don't reach for it immediately. There's a moment, just one, where I think of Faye, of how she would look at me if she knew what this call meant, of the way her anger would harden into something colder if I disappeared, again without explanation. Then I pick up. Yes, I say. No greeting, no pleasantries. You're back in the city, the voice says. Yes. You were told not to draw attention. I didn't. Good. I move to the window, watching the street below. A couple walks past, laughing. A dog pulls at its leash. Life uninterrupted. This is not the call that sends you away, the man continues. Consider it a notice. A notice of what, I ask. Preparation. My jaw tightens. You will remain where you are, he says. You will not explain yourself to anyone who asks questions you cannot answer. She's not speaking to me, I say before I can stop myself. There's a pause. Not surprise, calculation. That may simplify things, he replies. It doesn't feel like simplification. It feels like punishment. When the second call comes, he continues, you won't have the luxury of closure. You should assume that now. How long, I ask? Soon enough to matter. And if I refuse? I already know the answer, but I ask anyway. The protection ends, he says calmly, and silence becomes regret. The line goes dead. I set the phone down carefully, like it might explode if I don't respect it. This is what the deal really costs. Not blood, not violence, distance. I think about reaching out to her again, about breaking the rule. I set for myself and showing up just to hear her tell me to leave. But if I go now, I'll want to stay. And if I stay, I'll tell her everything. And if I tell her everything, she becomes part of this. I won't do that to her. So I let her be angry. I let her believe I'm careless, selfish, unreliable, anything but dangerous in ways she can't see. The phone stays quiet after that. But it's different now. It's no longer a threat waiting to happen. It's a countdown. And every minute she spends hating me is another minute she stays safe. That has to be enough. For now.
5. What anger doesn't say. I tell myself I'm done being patient. I've already given him too much grace for someone who vanished without explanation and came back expecting. What? Understanding? Silence? Forgiveness? Anger is easier than missing him. Anger gives me somewhere to put the ache. So I hold on to it. I let it sharpen. I let it keep me upright. When Mara finally brings it up, I'm not surprised. She's been circling the subject for days, watching me the way sisters do when they already know the truth but need you to say it out loud. You're still mad, she says, sitting across from me on the couch. Not a question. Yes, I answer immediately. But you're not done. That makes me pause. I should be, I say. He left. He came back. He still won't explain anything. That should be enough. Mara studies me for a long moment, then sighs. You know, she says carefully, men like him don't fall in love easily. I scoff. You don't know he... I know, she interrupts gently, because men like that don't disappear, unless they're scared of what staying might cost. I turn away, crossing my arms. He doesn't get credit for hurting me just because it was hard for him, I say. No, she agrees. But you should at least ask yourself what it takes for a man who lives the way he does to even let someone close. That lands. Because I've seen it. The walls. The restraint. The way he looks at me like he's constantly holding something back. Like being near me is a risk he never planned for. Mara leans forward. Faye, she says softly, if walking away was easy for him, he wouldn't look the way he does when he sees you. That night I don't sleep. Not because I forgive him, I don't, but because anger finally gives way to something heavier. Understanding. And understanding is dangerous, because it makes me want answers. I don't text him. I don't call. I go to his place. The hallway outside his door smells faintly like smoke and cleaning solution. My heart is beating too fast, but I refuse to let that stop me. If he's going to keep secrets, he can at least look me in the eye while doing it. I knock once, then again. When the door opens, the look on his face tells me he didn't expect this. Surprise first, relief second, guilt sharp and immediate. Faye, don't, I say. If you start explaining without being honest, I'll leave. He steps aside, silently letting me in. The apartment feels like him, sparse, controlled, like a place someone stays in, not lives in. The phone on the table catches my eye immediately. I don't know why. I just know it matters. I turn to face him. You don't get to disappear and come back halfway, I say. My voice shakes, but I don't stop. If you're going to be in my life, I need to know why you keep leaving it. His jaw tightens. I can't, he says quietly. The finality of it hurts more than I expect. Can't, I repeat, or won't. He exhales slowly, like the truth is pressing against his ribs. If I tell you, he says, you become part of something you don't deserve. That's not your decision to make, I snap. I know, he says, but I made it anyway. Silence stretches between us. I should walk away. I know that. Instead, I step closer. Do you care about me? I ask. Simple, direct, no escape. His answer comes instantly. Yes. No hesitation. No qualifiers. That cracks something open in me. Then stop acting like loving me is something you have to survive, I say softly. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to stay. His hands curl into fists at his sides. I don't know how to do that without ruining things, he admits. I swallow. Then ruin them with me, I say. He looks at me like that's the most dangerous thing I could have said. Maybe it is. He doesn't tell me everything, but he doesn't push me away either. And for now, that's enough. I rest my forehead against his chest, feeling his breath hitch. His body tense like he's afraid this moment might cost him later. Maybe it will. But for the first time since he left, the anger loosens its grip. Not gone. Just quieter. We don't fix everything. We choose each other anyway. And somehow, that feels braver than certainty ever could.
Kaelen. The weeks go by really fast. The phone hasn't rang just yet, but I have a feeling it will. She stands in my apartment, a ghost haunting familiar grounds. First thought that pierces through the fog of my mind isn't fear or danger. It's the cold truth of her presence. Unsettlingly comfortable, as if she's always belonged here. Faye's expression is void of anger now, and that realization sends a chill down my spine. Anger can be dealt with. It craves something, a reaction, a response. What I see in her now is a calculated calm. A woman who has made her decision, she won't plead. I take a step forward, deliberate and measured, careful not to invade her space. Touching her feels like stepping into a minefield, and I won't risk it. You came, I state, an observation devoid of warmth. I didn't come to forgive you, she counters, her voice steady. I came to understand. Understanding is the most treacherous request she could make. I nod once, the weight of the moment pressing down. I can't tell you everything. Her jaw tightens, a subtle shift that tells me she's not backing down. I know, she replies, her gaze unwavering. But I need to know this much. When you left, were you protecting yourself or me? The answer spills from my lips, raw and unfiltered. You. It's a revelation that hangs heavily in the air. Her breath catches, just a flicker of surprise, but she masks it well. I always see through her defenses. I don't want to be the reason you keep disappearing, she murmurs, a hint of vulnerability creeping into her voice. You're not, I retort, my tone sharp. You're the reason I come back. The silence that follows is a taut wire, ready to snap at the slightest disturbance. I don't need you to be safe all the time, she states, her resolve unwavering. I need you to be honest when you can, and present when it matters. I close the distance, drawn to her like a moth to a flame, the heat between us palpable. I don't know how long I can stay, I confess. A truth wrapped in uncertainty. She looks up at me, her gaze unyielding, fearless, as if daring me to break. Then stay while you can. That's the moment I fracture. I lean in, resting my forehead against hers, absorbing her essence as if it's a lifeline I'll need to clutch later. My hands rise, hesitant, aware that any sudden movement could shatter this fragile equilibrium. I'm not good, I admit, my voice low and dangerous. I don't love gently. I don't leave cleanly. Her hands grip my wrists, anchoring me in place. Neither do I, she responds, a fierce determination lacing her words. But I choose you anyway. And just like that, the internal conflict within me shifts from restraint to something darker, more resolute. I kiss her, and not with desperation, but with a cold honesty, like a promise forged in shadows. She reciprocates, a silent understanding of the price we both pay. As we part, she leans against me, her head resting on my chest. A fleeting moment of tranquility washes over us, an illusion of peace in a world that is anything but. Then the phone rings, just once. 20 minutes later, it shatters the silence. I freeze, Faye senses the shift in my demeanor. My body tenses. My breath hitches. I step away from her, the weight of inevitability settling in. I have to take this, I say, my voice flat. Her eyes dart to mine, searching for answers. Is it bad? Very. I retreat to the other room, shutting the door with a caution that suggests sound might unravel everything. This is the second call, the voice in tones devoid of emotion. I remain silent. You've been given time, he continues, his tone as cold as the steel of a blade. Now you'll give distance. How long? I inquire, though I already know the answer. Long enough to matter. My grip tightens around the phone. A lifeline that feels more like a noose. She's not part of this, I assert. A desperate flicker of defiance. She is the reason for it, he replies with chilling calm. Which is why she survives it. The line goes dead, leaving a void that feels heavier than the silence. When I return, Faye stands as I left her, the air thick with unspoken truths. You're leaving, she states, a simple acknowledgement of the inevitable. Yes. Her throat constricts as she fights back a wave of emotion. Are you coming back? I don't bother with false promises. I will try. She steps closer, gripping my jacket as if it's the only thing anchoring her to this reality. Don't disappear without letting me hate you properly, she whispers, her voice trembling. I lean down, pressing my lips to her hair, a brief moment of tenderness in the storm. I don't want your hate, I say, my voice low and firm. I want your patience. She pulls back just enough to meet my gaze, her eyes wide with fear and resolve. You already have it, she admits. What scares me is how much. I kiss her again, slower this time, a final farewell cloaked in shadows. When I leave, I don't look back, because if I do, I'll hesitate, and hesitation is a luxury I cannot afford if I want her to remain unscathed.